Welcome to this GW Apps App Builder introduction. In this video, we're going to have a look at the features of App Builder and where to find them. The first thing you need to do is log in. Point your browser at the supplied URL, typically app.gwapps.com, and click on Login. Pick your user account, and you'll be taken to the application dashboard. This screen shows you the applications that you have access to. You can see them as a list view, as they're shown here. If I click on the grid view icon here at the top right, I can see the same applications, just in a different layout. There's also a search option, so if there were a lot of applications you had access to, you could search for them. If you have application designer rights, then you will also see a create option up here, which will allow you to create new applications. To work with any of your existing applications, highlight the desired application. If you double click on it, it will actually launch the application, so you'll be able to use it as an ordinary end user. Or you can click here on the Edit App pencil icon, which will launch it into edit mode, so you can change the design. You can also click on this icon to launch the app. I'll just double click. So here is my expense report application as an end user would see it. As you can see, I have 3 records in my system already. 2 of them are in the review stage of the workflow. 1 has already been approved. Over here on the left, I have my Navigator. It allows me to select different views. So this over here on the right is actually my expense report by date view. You see, these are expense reports and they're sorted by date. A view is just a summary table that shows you key information from your records so that you can find the records you're interested in. Over here on the left Navigator, if I click by department, I now have the same records sorted by department. This view only shows records that were already approved, hence only the conference in Sydney is showing. This view shows different kinds of records. These are department records. I also have links over here that will let me create either an expense report record. So here's my expense report form. I could fill it in and submit it. Or a department. I also, here on my Navigator, have a link to a website. If I clicked on that, it would actually take me straight to the GW Apps website. So this on the left here is the Navigator, and these are the primary elements you can find on a Navigator. If I want to be able to change the design of an application, I can click here on Edit App. Now the left navigation has completely changed. These are now the various functional areas within an application that I can change the design of. So here the first one, General, has some general settings, my application name, the description, the date format and the time zone. And this landing page, this is which view or page should the application launch to. So when an end user launches the application, what's the first thing they would see? Here under Appearance, I can change the icon and the color of the icon that you saw there on the application dashboard. And I can pick from one of several pre-built color schemes that the application will use when it's actually running. Here under Builder, I have Forms. So this is where I go to create or edit the forms that we use to enter and manage the information in the application. So if I open up Expense Report, I have 5 tabs here along the top. The first one, Settings, just lets me change the name, the description, and also pick which user roles are allowed to create new records. The Design tab is where I can lay out the actual form. And I simply do that by taking form elements like text fields, number fields, dates, column layout areas from the palette here on the left, and just dragging them across onto my form and just laying them out and configuring them. We'll go into all those things in other videos. As well as being able to lay out my form, I can define the workflow that the form should have, if any. In this expense report application, things start off at a draft stage, go through a manager's review, and then they're either approved or rejected. And at each stage you can define the actions that the user could take. and these include the ability to move to another stage, but also to send emails. The Security tab allows me to define what things each role can see or do with the form at the particular workflow stage. So here's the draft workflow stage. The record owner can work with most of the form, but this manager's approval bit's grayed out. They wouldn't be able to see it. And similarly, we can set up this part of the form, for example, these people cannot edit it. So we create quite detailed control over which users, based on their role, can see, edit, or work with which parts of the form as it moves through its workflow. And then the final tab is Views, and here you get to define those views that we saw earlier. Each form can have one or more views, and as the view shows records for a particular form, the views are created here as part of the form design. When you're happy with any changes, you can save the changes or save and close to leave the form design. I'll do save and close. Under email templates, you can create the email templates that are then used on the workflow stages. So, for example, when an expense report is at draft and you send it to the review stage, you might want to send an email to the manager notifying them that there's something waiting for review. The email templates are how you can build the pro forma email to create those. Pages let you create web pages where you can explain how the application might work, show some summary information, those kinds of things. Navigation is how you actually define the left side navigation that the user sees when they're using the application. And this is in fact what we just looked at when I was using the application earlier. Roles let you define something similar to a group. It's a collection of people that you're going to give a label to. Those roles, we then use them in the workflow and security parts of the form design. So I would say the approver role is given to certain people, and then as part of my workflow design, I would say that the people with the approver role can see this bit of the form, or can press the submit or approve or reject buttons, etc. App users lets us say which users from your company repository are allowed to use this specific application. And this is where you say, for a particular user, which of the roles you defined earlier they have. Here under App Designers, you get to say who is allowed to change the design of the application. Finally, there's an audit history that goes through the design changes that were made and who made them. And the last element on the Navigator here in design just launches the application. When you're finished working with an application, you can always click on the GW Apps icon on the top left, and that will always take you back to the application's dashboard, which is pretty much where we started. That completes this overview of GW Apps App Builder and where to find things. If you want to see details about how to create applications, create forms, workflow, security, etc., please have a look at some of our detailed videos or have a look through the video tutorial series.